Your mind is under attack. Every day, forces you can't see are fighting for your attention. Social media, news, endless distractions, all engineered to hijack your focus, weaken your discipline, and keep you trapped in a cycle of consumption. If you don't control your mind, someone else will. Think about it. How often do you reach for your phone first thing in the morning? How many hours slip away scrolling, reacting, consuming, without a single moment of true awareness? This isn't just a habit, it's a war on your mind, and most people are losing. But you won't, not after this. Because today, we take back control. Today, you learn how to guard your mind like a fortress, how to eliminate distractions, build unshakable focus, and master your emotions, just like the Stoics did. Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, and Epictetus all knew the truth. Your mind is your most powerful weapon. If you don't sharpen it, it dulls. If you don't protect it, it crumbles. This is the path to mental resilience, to self-mastery, to a life dictated by your choices, not external noise. And it starts now. Drop a comment below. How often do you feel like distractions control your day? Share this with someone who needs it. Now let's begin. 1. Control your focus or be controlled. Your focus is your most valuable asset, yet every day it's stolen from you by notifications, distractions, and endless noise. Most people don't even realize it. They wake up, grab their phone, and within seconds, their mind is hijacked. Social media, emails, news, each one pulling their attention in a different direction. By the time they set foot outside, their mental energy is already drained. But here's the truth. If you don't control your focus, something else will. Think about it. How often do you start your day with intention? How often do you set your priorities before letting the world dictate them for you? The difference between those who thrive and those who struggle isn't intelligence. It's the focus. The ability to direct your attention to what matters while shutting out what doesn't. Years ago, I fell into the same trap. My mornings belonged to my phone. The first thing I saw wasn't my goals, my vision, or even my own thoughts. It was notifications, news, and distractions, all designed to keep me reactive. I wasn't living with purpose. I was reacting to whatever demanded my attention first. Then one morning, I stepped outside without checking my phone, just for a walk. No distractions. And I noticed something. How much clearer my mind felt. No external inputs, no stress from unread messages. Just me, my thoughts, and a sense of calm I hadn't felt in years. That's when it hit me. My focus had been under attack, and I had been losing. The Stoics understood this long before smartphones existed. Marcus Aurelius wrote in Meditations that a disciplined mind is the key to freedom. Seneca warned that if you don't decide how to use your time, someone else will decide for you. They knew that the world is full of distractions, temptations that pull you away from what truly matters. So ask yourself, who controls your focus right now? Is it you? Or is it the endless stream of notifications, advertisements, and distractions engineered to keep you occupied but never progressing? Every time you check your phone without thinking, every time you scroll aimlessly, you are training your mind to be distracted, to be restless, to be weak. It's no coincidence that people today struggle with anxiety, lack of discipline, and an inability to concentrate. The modern world is designed to fracture your attention. The more distracted you are, the easier you are to manipulate. By corporations, by media, by those who profit from your lack of control. A friend of mine once told me about his experience quitting social media. For years, he had been caught in the cycle, waking up and checking his phone before even getting out of bed, scrolling through news updates, responding to notifications, jumping from app to app. He was constantly consuming, but never in control. One day, he decided to delete every social media app from his phone for a month. The first few days were difficult. He felt the urge to check, the need to fill any moment of silence with stimulation. But as time passed, something changed. His thoughts became clearer. He had more time to think, to work, to reflect. His focus returned. By the end of the month, he realized something powerful. The world didn't control him anymore. He controlled himself. And that's the key. Focus isn't just about cutting out distractions. It's about choosing what deserves your attention. I once met a man in his 60s, a retired military officer. He had the sharpest focus I had ever seen. He told me something I'll never forget. Distraction is weakness. If you let your mind wander aimlessly, you'll never achieve anything of real value. And he was right. Look at the most successful people in any field: athletes, entrepreneurs, thinkers. They all share one trait: relentless focus. They don't allow the world to dictate their attention. They command it. So how do you take back control? First, audit your day. How much of your time is lost to distractions? Track it. Be brutally honest. You'll be shocked at how much time is wasted on things that do nothing for you. Second, creates barriers. Your phone is a tool, not a master. Set boundaries. No social media in the morning. No aimless scrolling. Block distractions before they steal your time. Third, train your focus like a muscle. Just like physical strength, mental discipline grows with use. Set dedicated time for deep work. Learn to sit with your thoughts without seeking distraction. Read. Reflect. Engage in meaningful tasks without interruption. And when you feel the urge to check your phone, to scroll, to escape into distraction, stop. Take a breath. Ask yourself, is this making me stronger? Is this in my control? Because once you control your focus, you control your mind. And once you control your mind, you control your life. But here's the reality: most people won't do this. They will continue to allow their attention to be hijacked. They will continue to let distractions dictate their emotions, their energy, and their decisions. And because of that, they will continue to feel lost, overwhelmed, and powerless. You have a choice. You can be like them, drifting through life, letting the world control you. Or you can take back your focus, guard it, and use it to create the life you want. Focus is a skill. It's a discipline. It's a weapon. And if you don't learn how to use it, someone else will use it against you. So decide now. Will you take control, or will you continue letting distractions control you? The answer will determine everything. 2. Guard your mind like a fortress. Your mind is your most valuable territory. If you don't protect it, someone else will claim it. Every day, external forces fight to shape your thoughts. News cycles designed to provoke fear, people who offload their problems onto you, and endless distractions that steal your focus. Most don't even notice it happening. They let everything in. Every opinion, every argument, every piece of bad news. And over time, their minds become cluttered, fragile, and reactive. But your mind is not meant to be an open gate. It should be a fortress, strong, selective, and impenetrable to anything that weakens it. Marcus Aurelius, the most powerful man in Rome, understood this. As emperor, he was constantly surrounded by flatterers, manipulators, and fearmongers. If he let every voice influence him, he would have lost himself. Instead, he built mental defenses. He filtered what he allowed into his consciousness. His personal writings, meditations, weren't for the world. They were for him, to guard his mind, to remind himself that external events mean nothing unless he gives them power. Most people live the opposite way. They allow the world to dictate their emotions. They absorb every problem, every complaint, every opinion, and carry it as if it were their own. They don't filter. They don't guard. And then they wonder why they feel anxious, exhausted, overwhelmed. A man I once knew was like this. Every conversation with him was the same. Complaints about the news, frustration over things beyond his control, bitterness about the past. His mind had no walls. He consumed everything, negativity, outrage, fear, and it consumed him in return. His thoughts weren't his own. They belonged to the loudest voices around him. I saw the weight of it on his face. He was constantly irritated and always on edge. He couldn't relax, couldn't focus, couldn't find peace. And the worst part? He didn't even realize it was happening. He thought his stress came from the world itself, not from his own failure to guard his mind against it. But I've also met men who lived the opposite way. Disciplined, focused, mentally untouchable. They moved through life with a sense of calm, unshaken by gossip, drama, or distractions. It wasn't because they had easier lives. It was because they built walls around their minds. They chose what to focus on. They rejected unnecessary noise. They controlled what entered their thoughts. And because of that, they controlled their lives. You cannot afford to let everything in. Your thoughts dictate your emotions. Your emotions dictate your actions. And your actions determine the course of your life. If you don't control what enters your mind, you don't control yourself. Seneca warned against this long ago. He said, the people you surround yourself with determine the quality of your mind. Spend time with the bitter, and you will become bitter. Surround yourself with discipline, and you will grow disciplined. The company you keep is either sharpening you or dulling you. There is no in between. But it's not just people. It's what you consume. Every piece of content you engage with is either making you stronger or making you weaker. Scrolling through endless distractions, absorbing every crisis, every argument, every outrage, this is how you weaken your mental defenses. You are training yourself to be reactive, not thoughtful, to be distracted, not focused. Imagine two men. The first wakes up, reaches for his phone, and immediately bombards his mind with external noise, social media, news, emails, texts. His day hasn't even started, yet his thoughts are already hijacked. He is on autopilot, reacting instead of acting. The second man wakes up and resists the urge to check his phone. Instead, he sits in silence. He reads something valuable. He sets his priorities. He is in control of his mind before the world has a chance to interfere. He is proactive, not reactive. Which one do you think will be calmer, sharper, more in control of his life? The choice is yours. If you want to guard your mind, you must be selective. Not every opinion deserves your attention. Not every conversation is worth engaging in. Not every piece of information is worth consuming. Be ruthless about what you let in. This is not avoidance, it's discipline. It's strategy. You wouldn't let just anyone walk into your home. So why let just any thought enter your mind? Create boundaries. Limit exposure to negativity. If a person constantly complains, distance yourself. If a habit drains your energy, cut it out. If content makes you weaker, stop consuming it. Protect your time. Protect your thoughts. A disciplined mind does not react to everything. It observes, it filters, it decides what deserves its energy. This is why the strongest men in history, warriors, leaders, philosophers, practiced solitude. They spent time in reflection, away from noise. They chose their battles wisely. They focused only on what moved them forward. Most people let the world invade their thoughts without resistance. They have no mental walls, no guards, no discipline in what they allow inside, and that's why they struggle. But you are not like most people. Your mind is your fortress. Guard it well. 3. Embrace discomfort to grow stronger. Discomfort is not the enemy. Weakness is. The modern world is designed to keep you comfortable. Instant access to food, entertainment, and distractions makes it easy to avoid struggle. You no longer need to hunt for survival, endure long journeys, or push your body to its limits just to stay alive. But comfort comes at a cost. Every time you avoid difficulty, you trade strength for fragility. The Stoics understood this long before modern luxuries existed. They knew that true resilience isn't built in moments of ease, but in hardship. Seneca, despite his wealth, deliberately lived with less to prove to himself that comfort was not a necessity. Marcus Aurelius trained his mind to remain steady in adversity, recognizing that suffering is inevitable, but breaking under it is a choice. Most people today run from discomfort. They seek convenience, shortcuts, and anything that spares them from the struggle. But in doing so, they weaken their ability to endure. They never develop the mental toughness required to withstand real adversity. And when life inevitably becomes difficult, they collapse under the weight of challenges they never prepared for. Strength isn't something you're born with. It's something you build. And like any skill, it requires practice. You don't become physically strong by avoiding effort. You build muscle by pushing your body past its limits. The same applies to your mind. If you never expose yourself to controlled discomfort, your mental resilience deteriorates. And when real challenges come, failure, loss, hardship, you will lack the discipline to handle them. A strong man does not wait for life to test him. He trains himself daily. He understands that growth comes from stepping outside his comfort zone, from deliberately making life harder in controlled ways so that he is prepared when the storm arrives. This is why discomfort must be embraced. Not as suffering, but as training. Waking up early when you want to sleep in. Take a cold shower when you crave warmth. Pushing through work when motivation is absent. Choosing the hard path, not because it's enjoyable, but because it makes you stronger. The world has conditioned people to believe that discomfort should be avoided. That struggle is unnecessary. But history tells a different story. Every great leader, thinker, and warrior was shaped by difficulty. They faced trials that forced them to grow. They endured hardships that hardened them. They did not seek comfort, they sought mastery over themselves. Discomfort is not your enemy. It is your ally. It sharpens your mind, strengthens your will, and prepares you for the inevitable challenges of life. A man who embraces it becomes unshakable. He does not need perfect conditions to perform. He does not wait for motivation. He acts. He does not rely on comfort. He builds strength. Most men will never do this. They will seek an easy life. They will avoid struggle, thinking it makes life better. But in doing so, they make themselves weak. And when hardship comes, and it always comes, they will have no tools to handle it. The Stoics were not interested in an easy life. They sought an indomitable mind. They practiced voluntary discomfort not to suffer, but to prove to themselves that they were stronger than their circumstances. They knew that the greatest freedom comes from being unshaken by pain, hunger, fatigue, or adversity. Ask yourself, when was the last time you chose to make yourself uncomfortable? When was the last time you deliberately did something difficult, not because you had to, but because you knew it would make you stronger? If you can't remember, you are not growing. You are avoiding the very thing that would make you powerful. Discipline is built into daily tests. You don't magically rise to the occasion when adversity comes. You fall to the level of your training. If you have never trained yourself to endure, you will break when real hardship arrives. So train now. Seek discomfort before it seeks you. Become the kind of man who is not afraid to struggle, because he knows that every struggle makes him stronger. The world will always offer you the easy path, but the easy path leads nowhere. Choose the hard way, because the hard way is the only way to mastery. 4. Master your emotions. Stay unshaken. A man who cannot control his emotions is a man who can be controlled. In every interaction, every conflict, every unexpected turn, there are two types of men, one who reacts and one who responds. The first is ruled by impulse, allowing anger, frustration, or fear to dictate his decisions. The second remains calm, deliberate, and unshaken. The difference between them is not intelligence, it is emotional mastery. Years ago, I watched two men in a heated argument at a business meeting. One of them, red-faced and tense, raised his voice, interrupting everyone in the room. He slammed his fist on the table, trying to assert dominance through aggression. The other man, silent, composed, waited. He let the outburst finish. Then, in a measured voice, he dismantled the argument with logic. His words carried weight, not because he was louder, but because he was in control. He didn't let emotions cloud his thinking. He dictated the outcome by refusing to be reactive. The man who loses his temper loses his position. The man who keeps his composure holds the power. Marcus Aurelius understood this deeply. He wrote that we suffer not because of events themselves, but because of how we perceive them. Most people allow external forces to dictate their emotions. They get angry because someone insulted them. They feel offended because of a slight inconvenience. They let other people's words, actions, or moods control their state of mind. But a Stoic does not give away that power. Emotions are natural, but being ruled by them is a choice. There is strength in stillness, in restraint. A controlled man does not react to every insult, every provocation, every moment of frustration. He pauses, he assesses, he decides how to respond, not based on emotion, but on what serves him best. Imagine being in traffic, running late for a meeting. A driver cuts you off. The typical reaction? Anger. The pulse quickens, hands tighten on the wheel, maybe even shouting at someone who can't hear you. But what has changed? The situation remains the same. The only thing that has shifted is your emotional state, and not for the better. Now, the picture handling it differently. The same event happens, but instead of reacting, you breathe. You remind yourself, this is outside my control. My emotions are mine to command. And in that moment, you regain power. No wasted energy, no unnecessary stress, just clarity. This applies to everything in life: arguments, failures, criticism. If your emotions control you, you are a puppet, easily manipulated by external forces. But if you control your emotions, you control the battlefield. Look at history. The greatest leaders, warriors, and thinkers all shared one trait: unshakable composure under pressure. They did not allow fear to paralyze them, nor anger to cloud their judgment. They remained calm and focused, making decisions with precision while others lost themselves in chaos. This is what separates the weak from the strong. Emotional mastery is not about suppressing feelings. It's about disciplining them. It's about understanding that emotions can be acknowledged, but they do not have to dictate action. A Stoic trains himself daily. He observes his reactions, questions his impulses, and practices patience. He does not allow a single moment of weakness to undo years of discipline. He does not let fleeting emotions sabotage long-term success. A weak man reacts. A strong man chooses. Ask yourself, how often do you let emotions dictate your day? How many times have you regretted words spoken in anger or decisions made in frustration? If you cannot master yourself, the world will master you. There is no greater power than remaining steady when the world is shaking. No greater advantage than staying composed while others unravel. Train yourself now, in small moments, in everyday challenges. Hold your tongue when anger rises. Slow your breath when frustration builds. Choose patience over impulse, clarity over chaos. Because once you master your emotions, nothing can break you. 5. Eliminate distractions. Reclaim your power. The battle for your mind is happening every second. Every ping, every notification, every autoplay video, it's all designed to pull you in, to scatter your focus, to make sure you're consuming instead of thinking. And the worst part? You probably don't even notice it. You sit down to work, but a quick glance at your phone turns into 20 minutes of scrolling. You pick up a book, but your mind craves a distraction, so you check your email. Even in moments of silence, standing in an elevator, waiting for your coffee, walking to your car, your hand instinctively reaches for your device. The world has conditioned you to fear stillness. But here's the truth. If you don't control your attention, someone else will. Distractions aren't harmless. They rewire your brain. They weaken your ability to focus, erode your discipline, and make you reactive instead of intentional. They steal your time, your potential, your power. And the worst part? Most people never break free. They wake up and the first thing they see is their phone, flooding their mind with external input before they even have a chance to think for themselves. Their entire day becomes a series of reactions, responding to emails, scrolling through social media, and checking notifications every few minutes. By the time they go to bed, they've spent hours consuming but gained nothing of value. The Stoics understood this long before the age of smartphones. Marcus Aurelius trained himself to ignore external noise, to focus only on what was within his control. Seneca warned against wasting time, knowing that a distracted mind was a weak mind. Epictetus taught that freedom begins in the mind, that a man ruled by distractions is no different from a slave. And today, distractions are more sophisticated than ever. Big tech companies, media outlets, advertisers, they all compete for your attention. They study your habits, your impulses, and your weaknesses. Every notification, every endless scroll, every autoplay feature, it's all designed to keep you engaged, to hijack your mind. And they do it because attention is money. The longer they keep you distracted, the more power they have over you. So how do you take back control? First, recognize the cost of distraction. Every moment spent on mindless scrolling is a moment stolen from your growth. Every time you let a notification pull you away from deep work, you weaken your ability to think clearly. You must become aware of how much time you're wasting because without awareness, nothing changes. Second, eliminate unnecessary noise. Your phone is a tool, not a leash. Set boundaries. Turn off notifications that don't serve you. Create no-phone zones, places where your focus is non-negotiable. Use apps that block distractions instead of ones that encourage them. Cut off the things that don't make you stronger. Third, train your focus like a muscle. If you've spent years letting distractions control you, reclaiming your attention won't happen overnight. Start small. Practice sitting in silence without reaching for your phone. Set specific times for deep work, uninterrupted focus on what truly matters. Learn to engage fully in conversations, in reading, in thinking. Strengthen your ability to stay present. This isn't about rejecting technology. It's about refusing to let it control you. Because look at the men who accomplish the most in life. They are not the ones lost in distractions. They are not the ones scrolling mindlessly, consuming endlessly, reacting impulsively. They are the ones who command their focus, who protects their mental space, who prioritizes depth over noise. They understand that deep work, real thinking, real progress, only happens when distractions are eliminated. When the mind is given the space to focus without interruption. If you want to reclaim your power, you must be ruthless with your attention. You must guard it like a fortress. Because every moment spent in distraction is a moment you'll never get back. Ask yourself, who is in control of your attention right now? Is it you? Or is it the endless stream of distractions designed to keep you weak, unfocused, and restless? Every time you eliminate a distraction, you reclaim your power. And once you reclaim your power, nothing can stop you. 6. Detach from outcomes, stay unbreakable. You do everything right. You put in the work, follow the plan, and give it your best. But the result? Not what you expected. You feel frustrated, discouraged, maybe even defeated. Sound familiar? This is where most people break. They tie their self-worth to outcomes. If they succeed, they feel unstoppable. If they fail, they feel worthless. They chase results, obsess over validation, and crumble when things don't go their way. But what if you could be untouchable? What if no outcome, success or failure, could shake you? This is what the Stoics mastered. They didn't obsess over winning or losing. They focused on what they could control: their effort, their discipline, their mindset. Everything else? Irrelevant. Seneca once wrote, "The mind that is anxious about future events is miserable." He knew that attachment to results is a trap. It keeps you in a state of anxiety, always fearing failure, always chasing something outside of yourself. The modern world only makes it worse. Social media bombards you with highlight reels, people showing off success, luxury, and achievements. You start comparing, you start believing that results define you, and when things don't go as planned, you spiral. You doubt yourself, you hesitate, you stop taking risks. But here's the truth: you have no control over outcomes. You can influence them, yes, but control? Never. You can train for months, but still lose the game. You can prepare endlessly, but still fail the interview. You can do everything right, yet life still throws you curveballs. That's reality. And the sooner you accept it, the stronger you become. So what's the solution? Detachment. Detachment isn't about not caring. It's about caring correctly. It's about shifting your focus from what you can't control to what you can. The process, the work, the effort. Because when you focus on what's in your hands, you free yourself from the emotional chaos that comes with uncertainty. Picture this. 2 fighters step into the ring. One is desperate to win. He's thinking about the crowd, the title, the expectations. His mind is clouded with fear. Fear of losing, fear of looking weak, fear of disappointing others. The other fighter? He's locked in. He doesn't care about the outcome. His focus is razor sharp on his movements, his breathing, his strategy. Who do you think has the advantage? Detachment gives you power. It makes you dangerous. When you stop fearing failure, you become unstoppable. Because now, you're not playing to win, you're playing to grow. And growth is always within your control. This is the mindset of the strongest individuals. They move forward no matter what. They take the hit, they learn, and they keep going. They don't waste time complaining about what should have happened. They adapt, they pivot, they keep executing. Look at history's greatest achievers, athletes, warriors, thinkers. They didn't dwell on losses. They learned from them. They refined their skills. They kept their eyes on the bigger picture. Michael Jordan missed over 9,000 shots in his career, lost nearly 300 games, got cut from his high school team. Did he let those failures define him? No. Because he wasn't attached to the results, he was attached to mastery. The same principle applies to every area of life: relationships, business, fitness. You put in the effort, but you don't need a specific outcome to validate you. You keep showing up, not because you're guaranteed success, but because discipline and growth are non-negotiable. So how do you train yourself to detach? First, shift your identity. Stop seeing yourself as someone who succeeds or fails. See yourself as someone who executes, who commits, who puts in the work, no matter the result. Second, redefine failure. Failure isn't losing. Failure is refusing to try. If you attempt something and it doesn't work out, that's data, that's experience, that's feedback. The only real failure is quitting because you fear the outcome. Third, control your emotions. When things don't go your way, step back, breathe, analyze. Ask yourself, what can I learn? What's my next move? Respond with logic, not emotion. This is what makes you unshakable. The goal isn't to avoid failure. It's to strip failure of its power over you. To reach a point where no setback can break you, no disappointment can slow you down. Because at the end of the day, it's not the outcome that matters. It's who you become in the process. And the man who controls his mind who moves forward regardless of results, is the man who will always win in the long run. 7. Reflect daily or repeat mistakes. Every day, you make decisions. Some move you forward, some set you back. Some are so small they feel insignificant, but over time they shape everything: your success, your failures, your character. The problem? Most people never stop to reflect. They live on autopilot, repeating the same patterns, making the same mistakes, and wondering why nothing changes. They react instead of analyze. They rush forward without ever looking back. And in doing so, they become trapped, stuck in cycles they don't even recognize. The Stoics had a different approach. They understood that self-examination is power. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers and Roman emperors, practiced daily reflection. Every night, he reviewed his actions, his thoughts, and his reactions. He asked himself, did I act according to my values? Did I let emotions control me? What could I have done better? This wasn't just an intellectual exercise. It was a system for mastery, a way to ensure that every day wasn't just another repetition, but a lesson. Because if you don't reflect, you don't improve. Think about the last time you made a mistake. Maybe you reacted emotionally when you should have stayed calm. Maybe you let procrastination win. Maybe you wasted time on something meaningless. Now ask yourself, did you learn from it? Or did you brush it off and move on, only to repeat the same behavior again? This is where most people fail. They assume experience alone makes them wiser. It doesn't. Evaluated experience does. Learning doesn't come from doing. It comes from analyzing, from breaking things down, from understanding why you acted the way you did and how you can do better next time. Without reflection, you are just guessing. And this is why so many people never grow. They never pause long enough to see their patterns. They keep falling into the same emotional traps. They let distractions dictate their time. They react to the world instead of shaping their own path. They think they're progressing, but they're really just running in circles. If you want to break free, you need a system. Daily reflection isn't complicated, but it is powerful. At the end of each day, ask yourself 3 simple questions. 1. What did I do well today? Recognize your strengths. Reinforce good habits. 2. Where did I fall short? Be brutally honest. Identify patterns. 3. What will I do differently tomorrow? Turn myths into strategies. Create solutions. This practice alone separates those who grow from those who remain stagnant. It forces you to confront reality, to see yourself clearly, without excuses or illusions. The modern world makes this difficult. Distractions are everywhere. People spend more time consuming than thinking. The moment they feel uncomfortable, they reach for their phone, drown themselves in noise, and avoid sitting with their own thoughts. But if you never face yourself, you never evolve. Look at high achievers in any field. Athletes rewatch their games, analyzing every movement. Entrepreneurs break down their failures, adjusting their strategies. Writers revise, refining every word. Growth is not random, it is intentional. It comes from looking at what was and shaping what will be. If you want to master your emotions, sharpen your focus, and build resilience, you must learn to self-examine. Every single day. And this isn't about guilt. It's not about dwelling on mistakes. It's about taking control. It's about ensuring that no experience, good or bad, is wasted, that everything is fuel for improvement. Because the truth is, life will keep throwing the same lessons at you until you learn them. You will keep facing the same challenges until you change the way you respond. You will keep repeating mistakes until you stop, reflect, and adjust. So ask yourself, are you moving forward or are you just repeating the past? The choice is yours. 8. Kill your ego. Unlock real growth. There is one enemy that silently destroys progress. It blinds you, limits you, and keeps you from becoming better. It makes you defensive, resistant to change, and unable to learn from your mistakes. That enemy is your ego. Ego whispers that you already know enough, that you are already good enough, that you don't need advice, correction, or improvement. It makes you fragile, unable to take criticism, unwilling to admit when you're wrong, and incapable of seeing your own flaws. It feeds on pride, convincing you that acknowledging your weaknesses is a sign of failure. But here's the truth. As long as your ego controls you, you will never grow. The strongest, most successful men in history weren't the ones who thought they knew everything. They were the ones who stayed humble enough to keep learning. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors in history, wrote daily reminders to himself, not about his greatness, but about his flaws. He reminded himself that he was just a man, no different from anyone else, always in need of improvement. That's the mindset of someone who refuses to let ego get in the way. Think about this. How many times have you ignored advice because it came from someone you didn't respect? How often have you dismissed criticism, even when deep down you knew there was some truth in it? How many times have you made a mistake but refused to admit it, only to repeat it again later? The ego keeps you stuck. It prevents self-awareness. It makes you blind to your weaknesses. And if you can't see your flaws, how can you fix them? The Stoics knew that to become stronger, you have to recognize where you are weak. To become wiser, you have to admit where you are ignorant. To grow, you have to detach from your pride and be brutally honest with yourself. Look at athletes, entrepreneurs, and high achievers. The ones who reach the top are not the ones who think they have it all figured out. They are the ones who constantly seek out ways to improve. They hire coaches, they study, they listen, they adjust. They are willing to start over if necessary. They don't see correction as an attack, they see it as an advantage. A man ruled by his ego is fragile. He takes everything personally. He avoids difficult conversations. He surrounds himself with people who tell him what he wants to hear instead of what he needs to hear. And when things go wrong, he blames others instead of taking responsibility. Contrast that with a man who has mastered his ego. He welcomes feedback. He asks questions instead of making assumptions. He acknowledges when he doesn't know something and seeks out those who do. He isn't afraid to be wrong because he understands that being wrong is an opportunity to get it right next time. So how do you kill your ego? First, accept that you don't know everything. No matter how much you've learned, how much experience you have, or how skilled you are, there is always more to learn. Assume that there is someone out there who can teach you something valuable, because there always is. Second, seek criticism instead of avoiding it. Surround yourself with people who challenge you, not just those who agree with you. The more you expose yourself to different perspectives, the more you grow. And when someone points out a weakness, don't get defensive. Ask yourself, is there truth in this? If there is, use it to improve. Third, stop attaching your identity to being right. The goal is not to win arguments or prove others wrong. The goal is to get better. If your first instinct is to defend yourself instead of learning, you are letting your ego win. Detach from the need to be seen as perfect. Instead, focus on actually improving. Fourth, make self-reflection a daily habit. Take time to analyze your actions, your decisions, and your reactions. Ask yourself, did I handle that situation as well as I could have? Did my pride get in the way? Was I truly open to learning? Growth happens in these moments of honesty. And finally, remember that no matter how much progress you make, the battle against ego never ends. The moment you think you've mastered it, it sneaks back in. Stay humble, stay curious, stay open. Because the second you believe you've arrived, you've already stopped growing. The men who go the farthest in life are not the ones who think they've made it. They are the ones who know they never will. Everything we've discussed, guarding your mind, eliminating distractions, mastering your emotions, detaching from outcomes, and killing your ego, boils down to one thing: control. Control over yourself. Control over your thoughts, your reactions, your focus. In a world designed to pull you in every direction, the ability to reclaim your mind is the difference between a life dictated by external forces and a life shaped by your own discipline. The Stoics knew this truth long before modern distractions existed. They understood that without self-awareness and reflection, a man is doomed to repeat the same mistakes. Without discomfort, there is no strength. Without humility, there is no growth. These are not abstract ideas. These are principles to be practiced daily in every choice you make. Start small. Each morning, remind yourself to focus only on what you can control. When distractions arise, pause. When emotions threaten to take over, breathe. When setbacks come, adapt. This is not a one-time effort. It's a lifelong commitment to resilience, clarity, and mental strength. And now, I want to hear from you. Which of these lessons resonates with you the most? Have you experienced moments where mastering your focus, emotions, or ego changed your perspective? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your story might be the one that inspires someone else to take back control of their life.